20.
But we
That's
have
law.
used it years. Seemed like
What's your
there
name?
was no
Domestic
ability.
violence. Well, they said a domestic.
Okay, it is 6:03 p.m. here on Tuesday, May the 24th, 2022. Call to order this meeting of the Murphysboro City Council. I'd ask that we would all rise, and I would call upon Our Lady Barb Hughes and ask if she would lead us in invocation, please.
Sure. Our Heavenly Saint, please. Gracious and loving God, as the City Council meets again, we are once again asking for your guidance. Help us to rest in your presence and gain strength from you to meet the challenges. Open our ears to your voice and our eyes to your vision for this community. Grant us the courage to steer the community in the direction of that vision. Through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen. Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Barb. Clerk Hunziker, would you please call the roll?
Alderman Hughes.
Here.
Alderman Curry-Witzman. Alderman Campos.
Here.
Alderman Austin.
Yes, ma'am.
Alderman Brown. Alderman Pittman. Alderman Urbis.
Here.
Alderman McComb.
Present.
Alderman Bastian.
Here.
Alderman Gladden.
Here.
Mayor Stevens.
Here. All right, well, we'll get into our agenda items this evening. Up first, we have the consideration of minutes from the meeting on May the 10th. Minutes are included in your packet. Entertain any questions on the minutes? If there are none, I'd entertain a motion to approve.
Move.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Up next, we have the consideration of accounts payable registers. We have list 420 and 421. Entertain any questions on the bills.
Is Tim here? No, Tim.
Entertain a motion.
I'm sorry, I was going to ask Tim a question,
Sure.
but he's not here.
Okay.
So I got my other questions answered. I'll find out from him later. It's nothing that I was going to say, let's don't pay this. But
Make a motion, pay the bill.
So I have a motion to pay the bills. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. That takes us into our regular committee and commission reports. First, we have Budget and Finance chaired by W.J. Pittman. In his absence, I'll run through these. We have no old business. Under new business, we have financial statements prepared by Scott Evans. Scott obviously is not with us this evening. We do have a report which gives us the schedule of the bank loan balances and our sales tax income, or schedule of income tax receipts. Any questions on any of the reports that Scott provided?
Wow.
Yeah,
We did good.
exactly. Isn't that the truth? Yeah.
All right, well, we'll move out of the new business and the financial statements and ask if there's any public comment on budget and finance. Hearing none, we'll come out of that and go to building and grounds chaired by Mr. John Davis. John?
Thank you, Mayor. There's no old business and no new business. Do we have any public comment? Move on.
Thank you, John. That takes us to community relations chaired by Mr. Mike Austin. Mike?
Thank you, Mayor. There is no old business. There is no new business. Is there any public comments regarding public community relations? If not, Mayor, we can move out of community relations. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Austin. That takes us to public improvement chaired by Mr. Mike Bastian. Mike?
Thank you, Mayor. We have no old business or any new business listed tonight. Is there any public comment for public improvement? With that being said, we can close public improvement, Mayor.
Mayor,
Ms. Campos?
sorry. Everybody, I ruined it. But the meeting that I had yesterday with,
Carrie Nelson?
will go in this one or the other one?
Well, I suppose it depends upon what the meeting is in regard to.
Actually, last week, last meeting, we talked about parking on Main Street and issues and stuff like that. So I went to DOT trying to pick Kate Nelson's brain and my brain and see if we can see any solutions. Of course, there is no solution to parking because it's a 24-foot. So, and making a bypass, it will be like a dream on. So we move into another areas. So looking for locations where we can have public parking and, but she suggested me to go to Simple. That is located at the Graded Egyptian page. And they have the money, the grant for do a study on parking, and none of the municipalities they are listed to them have ever requested one. So it might be an advantage to request that study, and they have the money for that.
And just for folks that may not know, SIMPL is the Southern Illinois Metropolitan Planning Organization, and they are the organization that funnels IDOT monies into various communities along the Route 13 corridor. So that's the acronym.
Yeah, because I have been knocking on, I talked to Senator Bryant, and I talked to her and see what we can do over here. And so, also something else that we talk is about the wall on 5th Street, yeah, that she have offered help us completing the paperwork, the application, and she said that pretty much what we have to do is an easement, and it's just 400 feet. But instead of having two kind of ugly walls, we can have one pretty one. And then that is something that we can go 80-20, the municipality will have to pay 20%, but maybe through income or Simco, what is it? Simple, that one. Maybe we can get the money allocated for that 20%. So it is an advantage to explore that. And what is the other one that I have? That's pretty much it. But what I did is that she was giving me ideas because there were 3 subjects that we talk about it, and I invited her to come and address our council and see how we can move, because the different organizations that we have in town, they're doing wonderful things. You're here and you know what I'm talking about, and you too. You guys are working so hard, and the thing is that the money's there. We just need to go there. Because the money is there to be given. She told me that it was about $100 million. And nobody had thought.
For less than that.
Yeah. We can settle for a little bit. But the parking study, that's something that nobody have done. I think Marion did something, but not quite that. But we just did the sidewalks, and we can do the parking, sidewalks, stuff like that. So I'm gonna ask the mayor to extend an invitation to her, and she agreed that she can come over, and then let's do it. Let's put that beautiful wall that is not gonna stop any illegal immigration in Murphysboro. It's gonna be a beautiful wall. Let's do that beautiful wall just to enhance that town, and it may be more sidewalks, and maybe find a solution for the parking. And there are so many maybes that we can do and turn them into a reality. So,
Well, Sandra, would you make a note for me to follow up with Simpo and Carrie Nelson at IDOT in terms of the parking study, because I'm sure they have a lot of planning money. And also, I know that Brooke actually and I just had a conversation earlier today about some potential things with the wall at 5th and Walnut. So, yeah, we can refocus our efforts on those items because they've been in the back of our minds for quite a while.
okay,
So, all right,
that's my report.
thank you. That takes us to Public Works, chaired by Mr. Gary McCollum. Gary?
I'm gonna let you handle this, Will.
All righty. Under Public Works, we have no old business. Under new business, we have a presentation of Restoration Hero by Linda Harold to the Walker House. And we have Linda with us here, and Brooke Gutman is here, I believe, on behalf of the Walker House. In case folks don't remember, the Walker House is sort of directly across Walnut from Plaza Tire. Would that be one way?
Corner.
Catty Corner, I guess it would be. So with that being said, Linda, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. This is actually our second Restoration Heroes. That's the first one that we are presenting here. And the Historic Preservation Commission is very happy to present it to 724 Ministries. And Brooke, I believe you're on the board. Ed and Jennifer unfortunately are in Memphis and were not able to come tonight. But I did talk with them on Sunday and they are thrilled to get it. We are so happy with what they've done with that house, both historically and for the community. So we want to thank you very, very
Well, I
much.
feel terrible even accepting this because they did all the work. I will sure pass it on.
Thank you.
Thank you. I love that.
I don't know if you all know this or not, but they feed anywhere from 50 to 75 people every Sunday evening.
I was just going to ask how that
And
was going.
It's going beautifully. I cannot praise Ed and Jennifer enough for what they're doing.
I would highly suggest everybody try it out.
Yeah,
I went on
I mean-
Sunday. It was lovely.
Oh, it's
It was
beautiful.
like-
And they have a wonderful meal.
I saw probably a dozen more people I knew, chit-chatted with people, and it's just
All walks of life.
wonderful.
It's really neat because you have people that you don't know, but then there's a lot of people that work within the community that you see there too. It's just heartwarming.
And the food is delicious.
Yeah, it is. Super good.
Well, that's just an excellent story on all accounts. Definitely. So we thank you, Historic Preservation, and to the ministry. All right, that takes us into our next item under Public Works, discussion regarding Herring Drive. We have a few folks with us this evening who live along Herring Drive. I know that they have reached out to, and I believe talked to Mr. McComb and perhaps Mr. Urbis. Gary, you raised your hand if you want to speak.
Well, I know years ago when they built that street, I think Doc Barger Miller had it put in, if I remember right. The city wanted to take it over, and he wouldn't let them have it unless they bought it. And I think a lot of the traffic from up on the hill comes down there and goes out that way to stay away from that other spot that comes down, because if it's icy, you're sliding right out in front of traffic. I mean, I think we ought to take it over and fix it up and make it right for the neighborhood. And I think if there's any problem with any of the right-of-way where the road is, that any of them out there, we'd be glad to give that part up. I mean, we're not talking about widening it, but it needs to be. And now I talked to Darren, it'd be a good time to do it, because we're getting ready to haul and chip out there anyway. And we've took care of the road in the past.
Right.
And now we don't have to buy it, and we just gotta upkeep it. And we figure out how to get rid of the water coming down off that one side. It's not that much work to go in out there and then get it all chipped to have a good road for those people.
Who actually owns that property?
It is owned by formerly Dr. Timon owned it. It's interesting, when you look on the county tax maps, it still shows the previous homeowners as owning it. Sykerts now have purchased that home,
Okay.
and the road is actually a part of their property.
I guess my question is, so we're maintaining a road that we don't own? No.
Well, we did once apparently, but not regularly.
Okay, but Gary, you're recommending that we take care of a road we do not own?
I'm recommending to go out and talk to the guy. I'm sure he'll give the road to you if he'll take care of it. I don't think the people who bought the house knew that the road was part of their property, did they, Murph?
No, they did not. we talked to them this weekend, and they said that they would do anything that the city wanted to get it deeded over to the city, for the city to have it. They really, when they bought the house, they didn't know anything about the road being theirs until later on, when the person said, oh, by the way, you now own the road.
That'd be Dr. Time.
Road up on top of the hill, is that on your property, Murph?
Yeah, the part from where Herring Drive tees in Wolf Hill Road, from that south to the corner that goes on back to them other houses, that's on my property, and that's never been deeded out, so.
But y'all can have that too, if you want.
Are you talking about the road that Judge Watt lived on and
Yeah.
the Sturts? Because that was annexed years ago into city limits, because Judge Watt called me when I was on council.
Right, but it's the
And-
curve part of it.
Oh, the curve that goes around, that's not, okay. I
Where
misunderstood.
Carol and used to live.
Okay, I
You know
got
where
you.
Danny Boss
Okay,
lived
I
up
got
on
you.
the hill?
Okay, yeah, I do now. I misunderstood, yeah. I thought you meant the road all the way. Yeah, okay, yeah.
Mr. Curtis?
Well, I'm in favor of the city taking it over. I think it's important to have that road access,
Oh, I agree.
for all the homeowners there, because was it Watt Hill Road?
Wolf Hill.
Wolf Hill
Yeah.
Road. I mean, it's really steep, and even in good weather, you're coming right down onto the highway. But I wouldn't want to pay for it, but if we can get it conveyed to us, I think we should.
I mean, we got some work out there to repair the side, that's the water problem, and I think Darren and them can fix the side pretty reasonable and get it ready to build, because it's scheduled for oil and ship anyway. If we just gotta fill it in, we'll just get out there and get the water turned away from going down that hill so fast, we can turn it out in a couple of spots to go out in the field there.
I'd like to ask our city attorney, in order for us to take this road over, what do you think is the best process for us to do that legally?
For all the owners of any of the land lying under the road to do a dedication of the road to the city, and then the city taking the action of acceptance of that dedication.
Are we going to be satisfied with the property description that's on the county tax map?
I think we could probably describe it, just, having looked at it briefly, it's shown by the county assessor's office to be a 40-foot right-of-way. I don't know if that's sufficient for a city street, if we, it's 40-foot right-of-way, but I believe we could make, since it's been an existing private road for so many years, I believe we could describe it as the existing private road known as Heron Drive.
Okay.
In its present location with a 40-foot right-of-way measured from the center of the existing roadway. And make sure we identify all property owners to join in the dedication to the city.
And just so I can communicate with them properly, would that be something they would need to have their own attorney draw up? Or?
It's something we could prepare. It wouldn't be that difficult of a document to do.
Okay.
Dedication of roadway.
All right.
And if the council directs us to do so, then we can determine who all the owners are and prepare that document.
Okay.
There's only Murphy, you and the old Barge Miller house that would have to deed over, isn't it?
Well, I don't think any of the property is actually on of the road is on our property, but Daniel and Tracy Londaway's property also would affect the road.
Right.
So there's only like three, there would be three. If you came off the road 20 foot over toward me, some of that would be on me. The other is all the roads on the other people except for down in the front,
Which is Tracy.
which would be Tracy and Dan along the ways, but I own all the way down to the highway, so. I own from the highway all the way up to Wolf Hill Road.
Richard, looking at the tax assessor's map, that the road has its own parcel ID. So it's already been divided off from those individual lots.
Okay.
Currently, we're not subdivided.
Yeah, we may just have to do some research. Determine.
Well, I guess, go ahead, John.
I was just going to make a motion to proceed, have Richard proceed with the process of getting it dedicated to the city,
All right.
assuming we don't have to pay for it.
No, it's not gonna-
We have a motion and a second to have the city attorney proceed with a dedication document regarding Herring Drive. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Stevens, on
Yes.
behalf of all the neighbors out there, thank you all for considering right now, almost impassable. And it's not only the folks that live right on Herring Drive, but, like you said, all those other folks in the back, all the way up to barges and locks. We really do appreciate this.
Well, I wanted to make sure that we did an actual official action on it, because over the years, I think various mayors have just sort of hodgepodge sent crews out there to do something or not do something, and it's just better to either decide to do it or not, and so we're gonna make sure we get it up to snuff. All right. We have another question.
Jim, you had mentioned 3 families. You had mentioned you and Daniel Landoway, and who was the 3rd family?
It's the,
Bob Keel lives back there off that road.
Yeah, Bob's property doesn't abut it. Bob is actually behind us. He's off of Foxdale, but it would be Josh and Sophia Sykert.
Sykert. Okay,
CYKERT.
gotcha. Thank you.
All right. That takes us to our next request under Public Works, which is the consideration of a request to relinquish an easement in Westwood Hills. Best as I can understand, there was a easement, a utility easement in Westwood Hills. I understand that there don't believe are any utilities underneath this easement. If any of my department heads, water, sewer, street, can tell me otherwise, I'd be happy to hear it. But Darren?
I don't have anything there.
Mr. Gladson? Okay. I talked to Tim earlier today, and he said we had no water infrastructure there either. So I don't see any reason why we...
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I have a question. Years ago, I used to own 13 Westwood. But I went out and looked at it again yesterday. My question is, if the people who own the property west of Westwood Hills, if they decided to develop that back there, and we needed to extend utilities out there, by giving up this easement, would that compromise future development back in that? Because that's a prime area west of Westwood Hills. And I didn't want to give up an easement that we already had if it was possible that it might prevent something from happening in the future.
Well, I am thinking that we probably have water mains that run along 149. I don't know that. That could be tapped into, and then...
But I was thinking about the sewer aspect of it.
Ms. Ripley?
Earlier today, there is water and sewer that is the south side of Lot 1 by Darrell Grammer, and I think that that's where the connection.
Okay. Pat?
I'm not familiar with that.
Okay.
No, it was just a question I had. I'm not against this, I'm just raising the question to be sure that we don't cut something off that...
Can I ask a question? Isn't back behind Westwood Hills, isn't that where the Lockards live, and they've got all that
Yeah.
back in there? That's already,
They
they've got
already
beautiful
have water.
homes back there. Now you go on back further, and that's how you get up to Dr. Cooper's house.
Yes.
But I think that's already,
Well, no, fine.
yeah, I'm just
yeah,
letting you
yeah.
know, yeah, I think that's already developed, really. I
But
mean,
there's...
West of it is. I know that my mom's sister and her husband lived on Green Road, which is
Right.
going back to Dr. Cookford's.
Right.
And they have, now, they don't have city sewer,
Okay.
but they have city water. And all those houses back there do. I think most of them have some kind of septic systems or something other than.
I'm just raising the question, so
Yeah.
it's...
Right,
it's,
yeah.
Now, I don't know about where all that Lockard Lane and all that. I think they may have city sewer.
Yeah, that's right west of
It's
Westwood
just
Hills.
east
It's
of
back
where
there.
I'm
Right.
talking about,
Right.
you know.
I just didn't want to cut us off from something that,
Right, no,
yeah, but if there's
Understood.
already other access back there, then it's fine.
I think it's Green.
It is
Yes,
Green Road.
that is Green Road. Well, is there a motion to relinquish the easement?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that, Mayor.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
One thing, Mayor, we will need to prepare a written abandonment of that easement. If somebody has, we will need the actual recorded easement to do that. If somebody has that, I don't know if anybody has that.
presume that that would be attached to the various deeds to the properties?
It would be recorded, so it would be in the deed record. If
Okay.
anybody has their title search updated, it would be shown.
Sandra, make a note for either you or I to reach out to Shay and Carla Baker or Trenton Wheeler to attempt to access their deeds and try to get that easement specific information. Service.
I don't think the city should have to pay for a title search if the,
Oh, no, I wouldn't go and do that.
right, but I mean,
I'd like to
if
look
if
it
there would
up.
need to be one, I think the owners should do that as opposed to the city, if that's necessary.
I agree with
I
that,
agree
John.
with that.
Mhm.
Okay, that's all of our new business under Public Works. Is there any public comment? Ms. Campos?
I did find out about Sizemore Drive.
Uh-huh.
It belongs to the city. Not to the township, not to the OT. It belongs to Murphysboro.
We knew that all along. That
Oh,
goes-
really?
Yes, it goes back to Berker Land.
Uh-huh.
Tommy Joe was a private road, yes. I went out there after the last meeting, and the only thing I found was right there in the corner, just a couple small little houses. There's nothing that was attached to the IDOT right away.
No, yeah, I asked them because I was investigating who belongs to, so we can take care of. Thank you.
All right, that takes us to Public Safety, chaired by Russell Brown. Under old business, we have consideration of making South 16th Street from Walnut to Spruce a two-way street. I'll go to Chief Ellemeyer. I know he looked at that situation and let him report on what he found.
Yeah, after going up there looking at it, as we talked about it not being wide enough to open both lanes up and have parking on both sides, so you'd have to eliminate parking on one side of the street. So I stopped in there and talked to Glam about what they thought about the situation. And they said with the steakhouse open, it would be a lot better to have those other 4 or 5 parking spots and to leave it the way it is. That's one reason, I think, just to leave it. The other reason was when you would pull out going to the north, the Glam building comes out right to the edge of the sidewalk, and then you've just got like 3 feet, and then the road starts taking place. So you would have a real good chance of somebody trying to pull out. They could be pulling out in front of traffic coming from the west to the east. So I would think you may want to leave that one the way it is.
All right, any other thoughts, Mr. Gladden?
Are we going to do anything about the 2 signs that are there? One that's no parking loading zone and 15-minute parking. Are we going to take those out?
Well, I suppose there is no laundromat there, rather dry cleaners there
Not anymore.
anymore. So Darren, if you just want to make a note to remove that signage, I would appreciate it.
And I do believe, I think I saw Darren up there, whoever, I think there was a sign put up there, no parking here at the corner, right at the corner, where you turn. Thank you, Darren. They did get that put up,
Right,
so
she had the
that helps.
Yeah.
Good.
We would need to do an ordinance removing those parking spaces as a loading zone and a 15-minute park.
Come on, Richard.
Oh, Richard.
He's out of jail.
Crawl under that table.
What
Yeah, they're
happens
going
if, what
against our
happens if they
legal
just
counsel.
disappeared?
But what
We should
happened
have just had them disappear.
Yeah. Are they still there, Darren? Oh, are they? Okay. I didn't know.
Prepare the ordinance. Put it on the next agenda.
If you're still there.
We want a good discount on that, or.
We need a motion whether to remove those signs.
Uh,
I'll make a motion to remove those signs.
Okay. We have a, well, I don't
I don't know where
technically.
they do it.
So you don't
Not on the
have
agenda, yeah.
In the ordinance.
Oh, it's not
It's on the agenda about
We can't, we gotta put it on
changing
there.
the street around.
Neither was Gloria.
The only thing that's on the agenda is the 2-way versus 1-way.
So it takes more than removing officially.
We'll put it on the next agenda, Gary, and we'll do it,
I bet they could mysteriously disappear.
Between now and then.
yeah.
We got 2 weeks.
Oh, I really shouldn't say
Everybody-
that.
Thank you, Darren.
I do have a question though
City
regarding.
council meet at River Rats after the meeting.
That's right, that's right.
Only
We
3
can
of
get rid
us.
those suckers.
Bring your 2
But I
weeks.
do have a question about the loading zone, no parking. Isn't illegal to park in front of a garage or something like that?
I don't think so.
Mhm.
Well, like an alley or street. but not a-
Yeah, if you have your garage and somebody parks, it's a private property, the building, okay? And if somebody goes and park in front of your, the entrance to your garage, I think it's illegal.
Call the police.
There's not
Call the
garage.
police though?
There's no garage.
I guess, I mean, if you park in front of my garage, I don't mind, but
He'll just move you out of the way. Both say sue me, okay, but I'm just trying to cover all the bases. Just
I don't
see.
understand, is there a garage?
Because there is
Not
a
a
say no
garage.
park, it is a double door is wide.
Oh, that was from the old dry cleaners.
From the old
Yes,
dry
you're
cleaning,
right.
and that's why they have loadings on, but boom. It is a private property, so are we going to get in any legal trouble that an ordinance will get us out
I mean,
of
who's
the
gonna
out
sue
of
us?
it?
We gonna sue ourselves?
Well, that
No,
loading
no,
zone
the-
was,
The owner, actually, the property owner,
Oh, okay.
who owns the property.
well, that loading zone we're talking about though is different, but it was put there for the restaurant or the catering business. So
The-
there's
for the
no reason
cleaner,
for it to
too.
even be there. We're not blocking nothing off if that's the
Well,
debate.
I would think that we would pull the signs, and then if someone comes and complains that their
No, but about
garage
that-
is being blocked, then we'll deal with that at that
Well, you want
time.
more
Okay.
parking places.
Yeah.
Gives you a couple more parking places.
Yeah, absolutely. We
All
could
right,
buy the building for parking.
I think we are still on the consideration of making South 16th Street from Walnut to Spruce a two-way street, and I don't believe there'll be a motion to
They
change
could die
that.
for the
Yeah,
need of a
there was.
motion.
So we will move on to the consideration to change yield signs to stop signs at 23rd and Gartside Street. This is another matter that we asked, I believe, to review. Chief, did you have time to do that?
Yeah. As far as any accidents there, probably in the last 4 or 5 years, we've had maybe 2 times where somebody was coming into town too fast and may have hit the poles, didn't wipe anything out. I don't think, they just ran into them a little bit. Besides that, the vehicle, we did have one that backed out of the alley and struck a pole, but that didn't have anything to do with the yield signs. I was looking at it to see if you could get away with just changing one, if you changed anything, and that's not a possibility, because if you change the one coming into town, driving to the south, and that person comes to a stop at that stop sign, and the one coming to the north starts to slow down at the yield sign, and the one heading south is not aware that that's a yield sign, and they both could go at the same time, so you either change them both or you don't change them at all. The only other factor is there is a lot of foot and bicycle traffic that cross that railroad right there. And the only advantage of stop signs would be the fact that they'd be stopped and have the advantage of not having the person in their post to possibly, not even know they'd be turning into them. So, but besides that, it
All
could
right.
go either way.
As the alderman in that ward, I've driven that for many, many years, and I would like to give Mr. Castleberry the opportunity again to speak to the council, but I've watched it. I've watched the traffic coming both ways from the north and the south, and when you're heading to the west across the tracks, they do. And I agree with them. There's not been a lot of accidents. I did talk to many constituents out there, and the ones I did talk to are in favor of it. I did not go door to door, but I did talk to a lot of them out there. And with that being said, I'm in support of that. But I would like to give Mr. Castleberry opportunity to address the council as well, if he'd like to.
Just like I talked about last time, I'm not aware of any, accidents yet, but there's been many occasions where I've gone across the railroad tracks and almost been hit. You have to yield to the people that are coming to the yield sign, across the railroad tracks many times because they just don't stop, they don't look, they don't stop. So, yeah, I know a stop sign wouldn't really change, it may not make them stop, but I was hoping it would just give everybody that extra second to stop, look, to make sure nobody's coming across the railroad tracks.
Sure.
But if it was patrolled, at least we have a reason to stop them. I mean, because you can hit your brakes and say, I yield. I think the problem is when they're coming, I guess I got to think about the west across the railroad tracks to either go on 23rd to the north or to the north or the south. When the people are coming, they see you coming across the tracks. They don't want to wait on you, and that's when they try to beat it. So, for what it's worth.
They'll do the same part of that at a stop sign.
Well, they may. And I know you're against stop signs, but for what it's worth.
Mr. Urbis?
Well, I'm normally with Gary opposed to adding stop signs, but I drove through there and watched cars for a while this week, and it is pretty dangerous because, you know, the cars, when you're going westbound, you're not thinking
You're
about
not
somebody
thinking about
pulling in
those
front
coming
of you.
Yeah.
There really needs to be, I think
can
there really
see
needs to be a
that.
stop sign. And I did the other way where I was coming up to the yield and I really needed to stop to watch for the cars coming across, even though it's only a yield. But to me, people don't yield at a yield. They don't really slow down. Hopefully they will with the stop sign.
Well, a yield sign is a stop sign. Really, if you got traffic coming, you're supposed to yield. A yield is a stop sign. And you put stop signs out there, I don't think you're gonna slow those people down coming in at all. You know, I mean.
If he yield's a stop sign, there's
Because if
no
you-
harm in putting a stop sign.
If you got yield signs, it's same as a stop sign.
Yeah.
That's whatever the council wants to do, you know how I feel about stop signs.
Well, is there a motion to change the yield signs to stop signs?
Yes,
So moved.
Okay,
I'll second.
we have a motion from Ms. Campos, a second from Mr. Bastian. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
Motion carries. All right, thank you, Mr. Castleberry. Up next, we have the consideration of a request to vacate an alley behind 464 North 9th Street. Alderman McCall, we have spoken before the meeting, and Gary, I think you maybe went and took a look at this.
Yeah, I went out and trespassed on it. I went out, and I couldn't find the alleyway. The lady come out of the house and said, can I help you? And I said, well, trying to find the alleyway back here. Well, they have mowed the grass and had a garden in that alleyway, and part of a building sits on it for as long as I can remember. And that property's had that. And it don't go nowhere. You have to drive up their driveway to get to what used to be an alleyway, and it don't go any further than their property line or their neighbors. I don't see any problem with vacating it for them.
Okay.
They keep a nice looking place, they keep their yard landscaped, keep everything cleaned up. I think that's the least we can do for them. I'd make a motion to do it.
Second.
For this item, we do not have enough people present today.
There's
Do we?
It's, when it's vacating an alley, it takes 3/4 of all aldermen holding office, 10 aldermen, it would require 8.
We have
Eight
have
to be here.
And we have 7.
They'll mark it down, they are here, and I did meet with the people that own the house.
So we have to come back to their.
I don't think they should.
I don't think it's
I don't think it's necessary for you to come back.
No, I don't, the council is gonna approve this vacating of the alley, but we do appreciate you being here.
But it's nice to see you.
Well, nice to meet you.
They do have a
Okay,
nice
well,
home down there.
we'll table that and hold that item until our
Okay.
next meeting, and hopefully we'll have enough office holders here to get the job done. And we'll continue to keep it on the agenda until then. All right, that takes us out of our old business. We have no new business. Is there any public comment on public safety? Hearing none, we'll come out of that and go to personnel.
Thank you, Mayor. We have no old business, no new business, and unless there's public comment, many employees are the public, we can come out of that.
Thank you very much, Ms. Hughes. Just as a note, I will need to use our executive session tonight, but I will have a brief respite after department head requests. Going into the mayor's report, I was contacted by Angelo at St. Andrew's Catholic Church, and he let me know that Father Gary is, of course, retired, and he's been in decent health, but is now residing at Manor Court, and he asked me what we could do to help honor him for the things that he's done over the years. Obviously, he's not with us here this evening, but they are going to have a special recognition of him on June the 5th. And so I wanted to adopt this resolution / proclamation officially in the council meeting so that when I present it to him on the 5th, that it will have been recorded here in the council meeting. And so I will share that and then ask for a motion to adopt it.
So moved.
Second.
Oh, he's gonna read it.
You're gonna share it first.
I'm going to read this briefly, if you don't mind, and then we'll take the vote. Whereas Father Gary Gubensheimer was called to the pastorate at St. Andrew's Catholic Church of Murphysboro in December of 1997, and whereas during Father Gary's time as pastor of St. Andrew's Catholic Church, he officiated hundreds of weddings, confirmations, graduations, funerals, and baptisms, and whereas Father Gary was an active member of the Murphysboro American Legion, the Murphysboro Ministerial Alliance, the Murphysboro Kiwanis Club, and numerous other community organizations, and whereas Father Gary Gubensheimer often joined the Murphysboro City Council to lead in prayer before our city council meetings, and whereas Father Gary has now retired from the pastorate and is deserving of honor from his community for his countless hours of service to his city and church, let it be known that on behalf of the city of Murphysboro, I, Will Stevens, Mayor, and the City Council declare Sunday, June the 5th, 2022 as Father Gary Gubensheimer Day throughout the city of Murphysboro.
It's awesome.
We need somebody to deliver him a big old pie. He loves pie.
Maybe apple, of course. But anyway, we have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Who seconded that?
I do not.
I did.
You did, Mike, okay.
I did.
I knew it was that side, but I didn't know. Okay, thank you.
I always appreciated his attendance at our meeting and his
Yes.
occasion.
Good man. We'll go to council member requests, and we'll go to Ms. Hughes.
I don't really have any requests. I do want to, I'm glad that Brooke's here because it reminded me of this. Just informational wise for the city, they, beginning July the 17th, the Murphysboro United Methodist is going to have a community, a community VBS, Vacation Bible School. Instead of it just being for our church, it's going to involve the whole community. They'll have food vendors and music and crafts for the kids. It will be located at the rec center and part of it in the park during each evening. It will July 17th through the 21st. And this wonderful woman is one of the chair of organizing that. She and Lacey Brown. So anybody that you might know that their children, what are the ages?
Kindergarten and fourth grade.
Kindergarten through fourth. We'd love to have them. It'll be a fun time for those kids, especially if Brooke's there.
Yeah, it's a food truck party, so we're having all local food trucks.
All the local food
desserts
trucks.
and-
I would take any donation for that you might want to give,
Yeah, it's
right?
like 5 to 10 years old.
Yeah. No, the time.
Oh, 5 to 8.
5 to 8. Okay.
Brooke, is that the Youth and Rec Center or the Rec Center at the park?
The Youth and Rec Center on Walnut.
Right, yeah, not down at the park.
They're going to have the music in the park,
The Carl Lee Park.
in the Carl Lee Park.
Right, I thought you made it sound
Under
like,
the
no, I know,
space
you
dome.
made it sound like it was the rec building down at the city
No,
park.
I'm
Not-
sorry,
yeah.
no.
At the
no,
Carl Lee
I
Park,
apologize.
okay.
Yeah.
No, that's at Carl Lee.
Right.
They'll have music under the spaceship.
Well,
That's my terminology.
in any case, the location has been determined for the
That's right.
VBS.
Time will
And
be decided.
And anyway, that was just informational, so spread that around the community.
well, I do appreciate that being taken outside of, four church walls and the usage
Yeah,
of
we do
the
too.
rec center. It's a great collaboration. Ms. Campos.
Happy Memorial Day weekend to everybody.
Mr. Austin?
I just want to thank the Park District for their working with us at our church. We had a community movie night last Friday night. A little over 130 people
Oh, how wonderful.
came out. We showed The Wizard of Oz, and it was a fun night for everybody. So Park District did us well, so thank you.
Awesome, very good. Clerk Hunzaker?
And nothing, thank you.
Mr. Irvis?
Nothing, thank you.
Mr. McComb?
Yeah, a couple of things. Don't forget, the 3rd and the 4th of June is the citywide cleanup. So tell your neighbors or anybody. The dumpsters will be coming in next week. And the other thing I had, the law firm is wanting to get the community service program started again. I'm not going to do it this year. So if anybody wants to clean up their neighborhood and get a couple of kids on the weekend or 4 to clean them up, it would be to call, what's the new lawyer's name, Richard?
Mike Cannell and Julian Valdez is out of themselves.
That would be the people to get a hold of, because they've got some to do, and I've got one community service worker now that he's an adult that had problems in Missouri, and they ain't no place for him to do it, so I took care of him over there. But I've got a lot of stuff to do with grandkids and great-grandkids this summer, so I'm not going to run the program. So, but if anybody wants some, or any of the organizations probably, as far as that go, Park District or whoever, or some of the churches, got something for the kids to do during the week or on the weekend after school is out. You just get them and find out their time and put them to work for you. It is a good program. I run it, and when I think the most I ever had at one time was 25 kids. But I got there at the end where if they didn't show up, didn't call me, and I sent them back to the law firm I was done with them. And most of the time it was the parents' fault. Oh, I forgot to call you. But I mean, that's something that if any of you want to do it, you can help the kids out in their life too, and might make a change in them.
Gary, is there, on average, how many hours can, like if I were to talk to somebody like Pastor Doe at City Hope Church or whatever, if somebody takes on 5 people, how many hours are they?
Well, a lot of them will have 8 to 15 hours, and every once in a while you'll get a kid that's got 40 hours. And they got, the law firm and the court decides how long they got to do it. Most of them are good kids, they just stuck their nose in the wrong crack, I don't know how else you can put it, but I think, I don't know, I was that way when I was young, but I don't know, if you get them, make them work and talk to them about what they're doing and stuff, I think it helps them a little bit,
I'm sure.
Okay. Thank you very much, Gary.
It's all right.
Mr. Bastian?
I have nothing, thank you, Mayor.
Mr. Gladden?
Attended the farmer's market Saturday, and they're looking forward to getting more as crops are coming in and everything. They're doing a good job. I noticed they've got some new tent things and all. It's a good thing.
It is. It is. It's really come together.
Boston strawberries are very good.
Yes. Very good. All right, that'll take me to department head requests, and I'll go to Attorney Blake. Ms. Ripley, Chief McBride.
Alex Crawshaw completed the academy, and then he completed the written class along with Chris Morber, which is a prevention technician class, where we learned to save our own firefighters if they go down. They finished that last week, so Alex will be back in his first on 24-hour shift will be tomorrow, and he's doing well. Other than that, I have nothing.
Very good. Thank you for that report. Chief Ellemeyer?
Yeah, I think in your package, you guys had a quote from Boss Heating and Air on the AC unit that we didn't expect. Well, you could expect it anytime, because these are probably 35 years old, 2 main units that run this building. What's been happening for years is this unit for sure has been, the condensation has been building up and draining through the concrete floor. It's ate away over the years, and it goes down into the basement. It floods out our records and file cabinets down there. And since it's warmed up here in the last month and a half or so, we've had to call them up here for 4 or 5 service calls due to when you go over there and look under the air unit in the hallway, sometimes there'll just be water running down like somebody's got a hose and just running it out the bottom of that AC unit. So I asked him, you know, what can we do without replacing the hose system like we talked about in the past? And this is what they come up with. What this would be, it would be a 3-ton AC unit. It would be the top air handler, blower, roof unit, the whole unit inside the closet, the coils, fan, the whole 9 yards. They said that should take care of what the problem is because everything's just rotting away in there. So this is just for a train of thought. Right now, they've repaired it to see how it's going to do. Last couple of days, it's not been leaking anything. I'm just going to keep continually checking it and see where we're at. But just so you guys know that something like this might be coming at a regular meeting to have to deal with.
Well, we appreciate the update.
May I ask a question?
Ms. Hughes?
Do you have any idea how long this amount that they would guarantee that for?
Just by dealing with them like I do with here in the range, I would think if we did something in like a 3-month window, it probably would.
All right. Thank you.
So you're not recommending us to just move forward with this proposal tonight?
No, I'd like to watch it and see if we've got some buckets in there. I want to see if it's going to stop the problem, and if it did, because the units cool really well. It's just that they're getting to the point of, I can't believe that they're still cooling well and not breaking down all the time. But I don't want to have them coming up here service call after service call either.
You can spend several thousand real easily that way.
Yeah, so I think we're just at the doorstep of where if it doesn't work, you're aware of what's going on, and I'll be back next with the fine copy of it.
Okay. Thank you, Chief. Ms. Volley? Mr. Manwaring?
The council might recall last fall, we had a piece of equipment at the wastewater treatment plant that conditions of power that failed, and we ordered a replacement. Just last week, we received the last piece of that in, and Friday at 9 a.m., there's supposed to be a factory rep come install it for us. So we should finally be getting that issue resolved.
Thank you for staying on top of so many different things, Brian. Appreciate your leadership. Mr. Sheffer?
I have nothing.
All right, Mr. Iser?
No.
Mr. Gladson?
Nothing.
Mr. Mills?
Nothing.
All right, with that being said, I'll take a 10-minute recess, and when we come back, we'll have an executive session. And I'd like Chief Pellmeyer, McBride, Ms. Ripley, and Mr. Blake to stay for the executive session. Yes.
How'd you get to the car for the
I was gonna say, that's what they don't have to.
Yeah, it really is. They've done a great job.
I just saw one Chief's throw them down.
Thank God. Fine work.
Are you gonna have a vote or anything after this? Wonderful.
All right.
See you all next time.
Thanks for
Take care.
Sammy?
Hey, that's what I was going to ask you. Why you never have any requests? On your report. Nothing that. And you need for your stamp, something,
I don't have to have you if you need to go.
There've been a couple of times I've noticed something on the street or something, but I've been staring or brought it to his attention, but I mean, it's.
But any request, just put one and say, well, I need ink for my stamp, and then, it'll be all right.
I'll keep that in mind, Gloria.
Please.
Hey, Will, normally those proclamations, do you put them in a frame?
Yeah.